Okay, alright.
Hello and welcome back to the Make Lemonade podcast show, brought to you by Lemon Squeezy, as we hope to inspire you to earn money from your own lemonade stand. I'm one of your co-hosts, James, and I'm back here with JFR, who's the co-founder and CEO of Lemon Squeezy. And to date, we're doing a behind the scenes episode with JR. We haven't looked at what's going on at Lemon Squeezy since December, so it's about time I pose some questions to JR about everything from features to team to growth and more. JR, how are you doing? Welcome back.
Good to see you.
So we've done like a series of guest episodes. We've had some incredible guests like Justin Jackson, Jack McDade, Simon Pittman, Jay Klaus, all of these guests that are doing some incredible things. What I've done is pulled out for our first segment 3 quotes from guests, and you've got to try and figure out, as I read you these quotes, who said them.
Okay. I think this is like a weird skill that I have. So I feel like going into this, I think I'm going to get 100%.
Okay, that's confident. I was even thinking of giving you the 3 people, giving you the 3 quotes and getting you to match them up, but I think that'll be too easy. So they're pretty beefy quotes. Let me start with the first one. No, I was ready to go. I thought about selling for well over a year, so I had plenty of time to think about it. We had all of our IPs blacklisted at one point for reasons, and I was like, well, we had a good run. I guess this many millions of dollars in net worth that I have tied in this company, I guess that went to zero today, but it all worked out in the end. So do I have regrets? No. And you know, the company is 10, 20 times the size when we sold, but it's like, I didn't want to keep doing that, and the millions in my bank account made me feel really relaxed.
Jason Cohen. No. Rob Welling.
Yeah, spot on. Good. Why? Hold on. Why were you so quick for that? How did you know that?
I don't know, man. I got this weird memory.
Well, this is almost cheating then if you've got this memory. I will say though, that Rob Welling episode was one of my favorites. He's vastly experienced and is able to articulate his thoughts so well and still seems to come up with unique thoughts, even though he's been doing his podcast for 10, 15 years, sharing these thoughts.
I know. We should actually follow up and see what he did on that episode 600, because remember we were giving him ideas on what to do.
Yeah.
And he did say he was going to come back on, so we could do a round 2 with him again.
I'd love to. I feel like everything he says brings value in some way, shape or form. Yeah. All right, my next one. We're in an amazing time at the moment when if you have a niche and you understand a little bit of tech, we can have this one-person business with a global audience. I think that's this generation's chance. My parents' generation is they could buy a house and it would go up in value. My opportunity is I can find 1% of the population that are really interested in this one thing and then offer something brilliant, and then they can all send me $5 and feel like they've got an amazing deal, and I've gone, oh my God, I've just made $30,000. So I think it's about understanding scale and value and recognizing that a small audience, if you built them really closely, they're way more powerful than 1 million subscribers.
Simon from Better Creating.
So good. Oh,
I want people to know, like, this is not rehearsed. I'm not even taking a minute to give you the answer.
What's to tell that? I even try and threw you off with the dollars when he's English and would have done.
I did.
Pounds.
Yeah, you did throw me. You did. That did for a second, and then I just knew. So when you said it was that quote actually stuck out to me when he said, my parents' way basically to build wealth was to buy a home, and that whole section, I knew that was Simon.
Okay. I need to remember this, that if I say stuff, that it will be captured in some point of your brain, JR. Okay, final one. This is going to be so obvious now. Okay, but it's a good quote. I think venture capital is a tool and it's important for capital intensive businesses. You cannot build SpaceX without VC, right? It can't be done. You probably can't build Stripe without VC. Can you build my company without VC? Oh my God, can you build half the fucking things that Y Combinator funds without VC? Like 80% of them should just be a Laravel app or a Rails app. And like, let's go. What are you waiting for? You're just typing on a laptop. What do you need VC for? What's so expensive? Why do you need millions to type on a laptop? It doesn't make any sense. So I think it's an important tool that should be used for startup businesses that are capital intensive and who can only achieve the things that they're setting out to achieve with capital. And there are plenty of examples of those businesses. It's just an overused tool these days a lot of the time.
I'm debating if I should just wait and act like I don't know this one, or if I should it's John O'Nolan.
I mean, it helped that it was recent as well, but I remember listening to him saying that. I'm like, yeah, that's the clip that we're going to use for the episode. And it's so true, though. It's so true.
But I think, like, I'm a pretty humble guy, but I do think that I have this unique ability to remember things. And I almost wonder if that's what helps me with like product and vision and like strategy so much, is like I pull from things that I saw or remembered from a random thing and then paint it with this thing and connect it to this thing. And I can just remember. I don't know what that is. I don't know, but my photographic memory even is like extreme. Like I remember my bank account number, my credit card numbers, all of them. Like off the top of my head, someone will ask me for anything like that, and I'll remember.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Do you think that has helped you in any way, shape, or form as a CEO in terms of, can you like memorize lessons or failures, or like let's not do that thing again?
I think it allows me to maintain the speed at which we move without me needing any context building when I jump into anything. I don't need it, because if I just see it in Slack, if I see it in a tweet, if I see it in an email and read it, I got it. And so as soon as I jump in, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So what's going on there? Like it's speed. Like it speeds everything up.
And the quote from John O'Nolan is probably quite apt at this point, because he was saying how much VC is a tool for capital intensive businesses. Now, we're pretty much a year on since we did that episode where we spoke about your decision not to take venture capital funding for Lemon Squeezy. A year on, JR, how's it gone? What's your reflection on that decision? Has it been worth it? Would you change anything?
Wouldn't change it. Wouldn't change anything. No, I feel really confident in that decision. I think it's. I almost tweeted about this the other day, but here's the word I would use that I was going to tweet about, which was optionality. It's maintained so much optionality. There's obviously the ability to maintain control, yes, but that control is like it's really optionality, where I can still raise money if I wanted. If someone wants to do anything unique with our business, I have the ability to do that. If I want to, even an outcome, an acquisition, right? Like it doesn't need to be sold for $1 billion for it to make a huge impact on me and the founders.
But you've got that optionality, but surely it's been frustrating at points where you've wanted to grow quicker than you have been able to because of funds.
Kind of. I know that though. And I almost think I'm old enough now and have enough experience now that I also know that there's more money, more problems. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't solve everything. And I actually think that because of the design we've always had, which is like forced by constraints that we've put in place with money, we have to compete on other things, which is our marketing or our positioning or our design or our product, right? Like it's forcing us to say, you can't just throw money at the problem and put a Band-Aid over it. Like we actually have to put an effort in and think through a problem, you know?
Are you still taking that one channel approach for marketing on Twitter?
Yeah, no, I think the one channel I think has done us well. It's served us well. Again, back to focus and the way we communicate with people. I think we want to get into like more SaaS and things. I think that LinkedIn, I think there's other mediums that are better. I think sales and marketing can work together in different ways where I'm thinking more downloadable things or lead gen things that feed off of a LinkedIn that go to the sales team, but it's marketing and sales working together to feed the leads of the higher end clients or whatever it is that we want. So marketing person, sales, more dedicated person in that area, I think would go a long way.
And your Twitter content on the Lemon Squeezy account, I think everyone enjoys it very much. Who's doing the memes, JR?
Most of the credit right now should go to Orman because he loads up a lot of that stuff. Some of it's like collaborative, but for the most part, it's Orman. We did have a few visualizers or like visualized designers that did. There's actually some more deep things. So I think it's a good mix, right? You've got like funny memes. Like I'm looking at the Solarpreneur right now with this guy lifting all these things. But then you've got like more right behind it is like this really, really nice stoic type thing, right? So I think it's a good blend. And it's also like there's a lot of motivating stuff too to keep people motivated, because what we do is hard. What our merchants do is hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard, right? And so it's like, can we make it less intimidating? Can we make it feel like, okay, the feelings I'm feeling are normal, right? And then so we have empathy with everyone, you know?
It's very good that Orman has that craftsmanship approach to design, but can also happily share funny memes that aren't as beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's funny you bring that up, because we used to talk about that where in the beginning we would always, does this sound okay? And And then it just got to a point where it was like, it's a tweet, man. Like, within 24 hours, no one's ever going to know this thing ever again, you know? And so I think it actually, it's been a good medium for us for that reason, where we haven't had to overthink anything and we can just ship it.
I think that's a good lesson for a lot of people that are at an early stage or are trying to grow their audience. It's just that shipping muscle, isn't it? Especially with Twitter, X. It's a great place where you can train that shipping muscle, putting stuff out into the world, testing what works. Okay, that got that many likes, that got that many views. This type of content works, that type of content doesn't.
It's also, I've always believed this, and I know it's true, because what works on Twitter, this would never work on LinkedIn. This content approach, it won't. Like, you know, I'm reading one right now. It's like, reminders, setbacks are stepping stones to success. Like, just one thing. It's not gonna get the algorithm working the way that Twitter works. You have to actually create the content for the medium, is my point. That's all I'm trying to say.
And JR, some people might have noticed on your Twitter, if they're a follower, it's at JRFar on Twitter, that your profile looks different now. There's just something about it. There's a new profile picture. JR embracing the hat-free life.
Well, I've wanted to do some professional stuff, but it's always one of those things where it's like, this is the last thing I have time for. And so I had this opportunity to kind of have these done. And so I don't know. I guess I just thought it was maybe time to kill the hat on the profile picture and try something different.
Genuinely, though, it's interesting because the hat is part of your personality and your brand. And I don't know if it's something you're self-conscious of, not wearing the hat, and to just embrace that and make that your thing. Like, I'm wondering if there's thought behind that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I do think there's always the comments of like, I like the look. I mean, I shave it down because it's just easier, but I think, honestly, the real answer is I've always worn a hat. I mean, I just grew up playing baseball, so I always had a hat on. So it's very comfortable for me to wear a hat.
Well, fair enough. I think you look good, and I think the whole look is a bit cleaner, more professional. I don't know.
Yeah.
Looks nice.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Okay, let's talk features, what you've been working on, things you shipped, things you haven't, things that are coming up. You actually posted today, on the day we're recording, a new small feature, which is the product links. So instead of when people buy something, they get a download to a PDF, which is a link in there. You've now added the ability to add up to three links where you can send people to. The example here is support, documentation, and the actual product link, whatever it might be. Talk to me about your thought process behind this and why this is an indication of larger things, not just shipping a small feature like this.
Yeah, this is a huge request, by the way, because it's not just this example you see is Framer, right? That's how you deliver the product is a remix link. Notion similar, lots of them. There's a ton of them that just need to link to just access the product. So this is
if I was selling a course, I would have the link to whatever platform it's being hosted on. That would be a link. It wouldn't be a PDF.
So even looking at this, I mean, I'm going to give some background as to why this took so long. Was I think that we want you to be able to sell any sort of digital product, software, any sort of downloadable course, whatever it is, through Lemon Squeezy. So there's a larger conversation behind the scenes of, let's actually blow up the way that you create products in Lemon Squeezy and let's reimagine it again. And so it's starting more with, what type of product are you selling? Is it a course? Is it a downloadable? Is it a software? Is it a SaaS? And then from there, the product creation flow within Lemon Squeezy is much more contextual around what you're trying to create. And so this one, it was, we were almost going to do that. And then it just turned out to be like, we're just dragging our feet. Let's just throw this into the existing flow. It works. And then that'll allow us time to really think through that bigger initiative.
Joe, my brain was just going there. What's been your sense of people's approach to merchant of record, or the general sentiment towards the merchant of record, since the Great Gulf migration and people are like, I need merchant of record, to now where there's a lot of decision making when people are starting up a new product, choosing a payment provider? They're like, should I use Stripe, or is Lemon Squeezy just like a wrapper? Is that sentiment still staying the same, that people still do want and need merchant of record if they're starting from the US or the UK, where they could just whip up Stripe?
No, I think it's definitely so. Actually, I would argue that it's even growing. And I think that the reason for that is, one, I've talked about this before, you have like things like Stripe Tax that, are pushing people to be just into, it's just organically educated. Oh, what's this? What is that? Wait, I have to collect tax? Like, how does that work? And right. And then you get an email, like I got an email from GitHub. I got an email from Discord. I got an email from, it's like, hey, starting in May 1st, 2024, we're going to start collecting tax in your location, right? Like this is due to, right? So now you've got all these people that are like, well, that's interesting. And some people argue, well, they had to wait until they had to do it. Well, you can do that, but then what happens when you go to register and they say, well, how long have you been selling this and all the back taxes you have to pay? And I'm not trying to fearmonger. That's not it at all. But even behind the scenes I hear it all the time with friends where they're even trying to sell out their company, right? Their SaaS. And they're like, oh yeah, I had to pay a bunch of back taxes because once they went and did my due diligence, they realized I hadn't been paying. And that's a common thing. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that it's becoming a bigger thing. And most of it is because it's the world we live in now. And there's so many things being sold online, and that's only going to grow, and that's only going to create more havoc on everyone because the countries are going to get more aggressive wanting their money. And so I just think it's only going to get worse, not worse, but I think it's just going to grow. And I think that I don't believe that it's for everyone. I think that there's phases. I think there's approaches. I think as you scale, you might want still some of this tax liability halo that Lemon Squeezy provides, but maybe instead of the way that we position it, there's maybe, higher end version of it. There's a lot of things that I think we can improve on depending on where you are as a business. But do I think that this is still an issue? 100%. I think we're solving a huge problem for a lot of people. And I really, really believe that.
And I mean, it's not just merchant of record. I mean, that is the one thing that I go back to as a baseline because that's like the key problem you're solving for. But then if you look at all the other things that Lemon Squeezy has on the platform, the product you're building to make it easier, better for sellers, for selling anything, SaaS, digital products.
Yeah, you look at like Adam, right? Like he just mentioned a few features last week on Screen Studio, but he's using the affiliate feature and he's made tens of thousands of dollars for affiliates. So think about what he's made as a company because of the affiliate feature that we provided, right? So you have that, but then even as a merchant of record, we have to do frontline billing support for all the customers. So refunds and chargebacks, we're handling all of that. So it's like that's like a person normally you'd have to hire, or maybe two people that you have to hire. You don't have to hire that person. So there's a lot of value in it all.
And I mean, on your most reckon point, I think Simon's quote earlier just exemplifies this, right? He was saying our opportunity is that you can build one-person businesses connecting with a global audience. What you then don't want to be is be liable for tax in all the countries globally because you've gone over the thresholds. They've all sent me the $5. You've made your 30,000, but I now owe taxes to whatever countries. You just don't want that headache, do you? Really?
Nope.
Another thing that you've been putting a lot of focus on, and you said some numbers to me earlier, JR, and it blew my mind. Quite frankly, you are so focused on the developer experience and your JavaScript SDK package. Tell me a bit more about this and why it's getting so gangbusters, JR.
I actually don't know why, but it is. We have a lot of, we have some open source stuff. So SDKs are big. So there's a few things we're doing with the developer experience because it's really important to us because, it's what we believe in, and I think it helps us dog food our things because we would build this the way we want it, and I think that the developers are the ones that are adopting what we do for the companies they work for, the products they're building. But this JavaScript SDK, and started out, we're up to version 3.1.2. I'm just looking at it right now. It's close to now being downloaded almost 15,000 times a week. But there's 120,000 downloads. So let me just say that differently. So it's now up, it's just skyrocketed to like 60,000 downloads a month. But over the life of the thing, it's 120,000 downloads. So this thing is going to, I mean, I can't wait. This thing's going to be to 1 million downloads before I know it. And that's super exciting. We got Next.js billing apps. We have Wedges, the project that's open source, that's still being downloaded. I actually could check real quick how much that's being downloaded. But yeah, it's been great. Yeah, so Wedges is about 500-600 a week, but that is an open source React UI library component system, right? It's a little bit, definitely a little bit more niche down, but that's still impressive, I think.
Why are you putting so much effort into making Lemon Squeezy so good for devs?
I believe that's a big part of why we've grown the way we have. I think that people look at Stripe; they are the standard, and I think that we believe that it's a really good way to, at least from even a sales cycle, right? Like a CFO could come to us and say, "Hey, I've let the CEO that they need to start collecting taxes," but then immediately goes to the development team or the CTO gets on the phone and says, "How do we integrate this? Does it work with our application?" Oh yeah, these guys have SDKs for all this. They integrate with this, APIs here, webhooks here. Like it's all there. So that helps the adoption really, really easily. Or you're just starting out and you download our SDKs and it's really easy peasy from start to finish. So it's like not only was it easy to build and collect and do all that stuff, but also just getting it into my app was extremely easy. They have the portal, and it all works with everything that I'm doing. So I just believe that as we move forward, we got to just continue to double, triple down on that.
Yeah. Let's talk about new features, upcoming things. You did a tweet a couple of weeks ago where you were asking people for features. Some of them were in the works. Some of them were super well requested. I want to rattle off a few and I want to see, JR, when are they coming? Are they coming? What's the process? When can people get these cool features coming?
Was this the one that I think I tweeted? This is like on a Saturday and it went, like people went off with it. Was this the one?
Yeah. It was shuffling the Lemon Squeezy priorities over the weekend. What feature improvement do you want next?
Yeah, I remember this. I'm like, wow, people are just going nuts on this on a Saturday.
I mean, you can tell what level your product is at when the CEO tweets something with a gif of some lemons on a Saturday and you get 64 passionate people responding with feature requests.
That's awesome. All right, let's go through it.
Okay, so let's start with your number one, the mobile app. I want to see my Lemon Squeezy notifications coming in on my phone, JR. Where is it?
Oh, man. This is the number one request across everything. It's our feature board. Yeah, and we have a lot of unofficial ones. I think there's 2 or 3 in the App Store that you can actually download. I don't know. We don't have an ETA on this, but this is one that we need. I think we need to finally scratch this itch for everyone so they have this on the go. And I get why. I completely understand why. So this is one that I think we can't fight any longer. We're going to have to prioritize this one.
For sure. And we've spoken about your values of craftsmanship and wanting to do it right. So if you want to ship a mobile app, you're going to do it in the Lemon Squeezy way. But I mean, hey, it's pretty cool that people have gone out there and made stuff that you can plug in.
Yeah. And I think that's part of it too is, I have Orman who is leading the look and feel of everything. And I think for him, it's, let's just make sure we have best in class here before we shift over here because I want to have my hands on that too. So.
Okay, let's see. Partial refunds.
Oh, this is actually in a pull request. So this should be going live this week. This is a big one too. Huge request. Yeah, so this is right. This should be live by the time this episode goes live.
That's pretty cool. Why is it important to have partial refunds?
I think for merchants, I think it helps with customer support when they're handling an issue and rather than having to it's a digital download, right? So you can't get it back. So avoiding a chargeback is what you want to do. So can you say, hey, look, can you meet me in the middle? And I think that's what someone's looking for is like, hey, you took the product, but I'll just give you half back. And they negotiate whatever they want. And I think that's useful.
Product reviews?
Yep. This is part of the whole, there's like you're probably going to ask this, but there's like carts and upsells and reviews. It's all going to kind of be part of the same release, I think.
Okay, so talk to me, cart, product reviews, this whole ecosystem of that. There's more of that Shopify element to it where you can earn more with your products and across stores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and see, this goes back to where I was talking about blowing up the way you create products because we kind of need to know, I don't want to do a default cart, or at least I want to give people the ability to say, I don't want a cart because I don't need a cart because this isn't even applicable to my product.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure we're thinking about every use case and the context behind the ask. So this one's just, it's not so much a lift in terms of designing it and building it. It's just more, how do we make sure the controls are in place so every merchant can do what they want?
A couple more then. Payment in installments.
Yeah. That's a high ticket item, like a course. It's maybe $2,500 or $1,200. They want to offer like a over the year, pay quarterly or monthly. We need to look at that one.
Do you find people end up just like finding workarounds if they're using Lemon Squeezy and they want to do payment in installments? They'll just give like different or like a subscription where it's a rolling subscription over a few months, then that counts as your installments and you cancel it after a few.
Oh yeah, I see it all over. I see a lot of different stuff like that. Not even just related to this, but I see people like just creating like the way they're telling. Sometimes they're not even using variants, or like they're just like selling team package, and it's like we have the solution, but like it's amazing because we've really tried to have it all be easy peasy and simple, but like it's hard. It's really hard to make something simple.
Making the complicated simple, and also when you are attending to many different use cases, it's very hard to make that simple for one person that's selling digital products versus another person that's selling SaaS or a single payment license software. So you've got to apply to a lot of different types of companies, and I guess that's why maybe things take a little longer when you've got to really think through how you implement some of these things. Yeah. Cool. Is there any other features? There was loads in this thread, and you have responded to a lot of them, but I wondered if there was anything else I haven't mentioned that you might want to touch on that you can get people excited about or is worthwhile.
Yeah, I think the links, the URLs in the products, partial refunds, two-factor authentication is coming. We have localization and a PR.
What does localization mean?
Oh, sorry. It's like language, like working with any language, which is big. So there is some stuff that's actually going out around the charts and reporting, making sure. And there's been people complaining about some of the accuracy, so we want to make sure that that's spot on. And I think there's actually a bigger thing there where there's that piece, but we have some ideas and some plans to do a little bit more in-depth reporting where you can really understand subscription analytics and what's going on with your churn and retention, and there's a lot more around that too. So those are some of the things in flight. I want to mention one other thing though, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
We have a guy on our team, Bronco, he's the one that actually did the Lemon JS SDK and wedges. He did all that with Orman, but he took it upon himself. He went and looked at Vercel's kind of learn. There's like a whole learn section where we want to improve onboarding for developers. And so we're like, when I just said a minute ago about doubling down, tripling down on devs.
Yeah.
This is actually in flight right now where there's a full, this is an interactive chapter course with quizzes, and you're building an application. You're like building it with Lemon Squeezy, but we're walking you through almost like a guided tour with chapters and education. So like by the time you're done, you've built it, but you've also learned about everything that you need to with like guided access. So I think this is going to be a really neat thing for developers to use.
That's amazing. Sounds like a lot of work.
Ton of work.
But hey, because you see so many different sellers across different industries and markets and different product types, do you seeing any trends, any things that are blowing up? Apart from the obvious, AI and Notion templates and Framer templates. Are you seeing anything interesting?
Yeah, I mean, definitely AI. I mean, it's not just AI, there's just a lot of interest. It's not just an open AI wrapper, but they're using it in different verticals, different solutions, different applications, right, of AI, I think is interesting. Yeah, and off the top of my head, I don't have anything. I do think that there's some cool things that people are doing with Lemon Squeezy. Like we've been working with the CEO and founder of Nuxt framework, which is Sebastian, where he has been trying to launch a marketplace for his templates for his framework, and we're going to help him do that using Lemon Squeezy, which I think is a really cool use case. and I'd love to see how this goes out. And actually, this might be my moment where I go back to Adam from Tailwind and say, hey, I know you talked about wanting to do this. What would it take to get you over to Lemon Squeezy? And then we could also help you do this, plus affiliates, plus the marketplace, plus, yeah. I think it could be a good right hook to get him, but we'll see. No, I'm just joking. I'm happy. I whatever is best for his business, but ultimately I'm a big fan of Tailwind, so it'd be awesome to get Adam and the team over.
Without a doubt. Right, Joe, I'm going to wrap up on a few things. I asked a few people from Lemon Squeezy for some questions. I started out with co-founder and CTO Gilbert, who has been on the podcast. He asked two quite interesting questions. How does the experience of building Lemon Squeezy compare with the experience of building Mojo?
I'm hesitant to use the word easier. There's a lot of... I avoided early pitfalls. I think it also allowed us to focus on things that I knew would matter based off that experience. There's things that you can push off to the side because they're not important right now where people think they might be important. That's probably like the biggest thing I'm trying to say. I also think that one of the things I got lucky with Mojo and one of the things I got lucky with Lemon Squeezy is co-founders are a big part of what you do. People talk about it like a marriage, right? There's that, and getting along and agreeing and early on, I think that it's really important to establish, your roles, your responsibility, what you're owning, what they're owning. And I think that by design, it creates this yin and yang or black and white that allows you guys to play to your skill sets and your strengths. So with Mojo, my co-founder was really good at like what he did. I was good at what I did. And I feel like with Lemon Squeezy, it's the same thing where G's really good at owning the technical side. You got Orman on the design side, and then I'm handling the marketing and the business side. And so I think that I just knew that, and I knew that was really important. So like, you see what I'm saying? There's things that I felt like I knew early that made it easier. With that said, I think even with the best products and the best team, I still believe that distribution is the most critical thing, and you have to figure that out. So no matter what I'm trying to say is, no matter what I would have learned or what I would have done over here, that was still something we needed to figure out to make this be successful.
And you said at the start of that, there's certain things that some people think are important at the start, but might not be. Can you think of some examples of that?
Yeah, swag, titles, certain things around the landing page or, what you're tweeting, and it has to be perfectly crafted versus just send the damn tweet because it's going to expire in 24 hours. And then just it's really around perfection and speed, right? Like when you're small, your advantage is speed and focus. And so I think when you try to boil the ocean, to start, they're like, well, we can do this, and our app will do this, and our app will do that. And we'll try this over here. It's like, get really narrow, get really focused, and move with speed and conviction. And that is what will get you. And then you start building consistency, which builds momentum, and there's wins. And then the wheel starts to happen,
I love that. I really love that. What would you do differently next time with the next iteration, the next company?
Man, that's a weird one because I haven't really thought about that because I'm just so focused on this. I still have an analogy is like slaying a dragon. There's still this dragon I would like to slay, which is, but I'm hesitant to even say it out loud because it's just a thought. But slaying the VC dragon, could I do that or get to this point and raise the money, and what could I do? Because there is a part of me sometimes where I think, wow, like look what we've been able to do with this amount of resources and this amount of money. So if I 10 times this team with our thinking and we had money, like that is always behind my head of like, but then what? What does that really do? I don't know. So that's like, if you're putting me on the hot seat, and I'm just like me and you talking, I know there's a lot of people going to listen to this and be like, wow, didn't take any money, but that's like a thing that's I would think about.
Hey, no, I'm really grateful for you coming up with that, because also not in the edit, but holy shit, you've got so good at when I throw a question at you that there's no prep, you coming up with a really good answer.
You should leave this in so people can hear.
Yeah, well, no, I'm happy to share this. JR was not always like this. This is over the last few years, I guess, now of doing this podcast. I can throw out random questions like, what would you do differently next time? JR's not put much thought into this, but being able to articulate the thought that's in the back of your mind about maybe, like, what would it look like if you did slay the VC dragon, and not like saying it's something you want to do, but there is a thought in your head that is there, maybe, what if? Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, all right, so that was G's questions, and then Curtis on the team asked me, more fun, who's a dream guest you would want on Make Lemonade that most people wouldn't expect? It can't be indie maker, founder, or CEO.
So, you know what I would actually think would be cool?
Go on.
Is... You know, when we did our mental health one, I'd actually love to have like a psychologist that works with entrepreneurs that is world renowned, that could like help people understand the dark side of this and how to cope with it and how to get through that. Right? It's not just about like, oh yeah, we all have the problems, but it's like, here's some tools, here's some like. There's people like that exist. I mean, even Rob Willing, we're talking about him. He has a wife that this is what she does. She's like a psychologist for entrepreneurs. I actually think she would be amazing to bring on here because I think we all experience it, right? Even if you're just an employee working at a company and you have aspirations, or if you're a high-powered person, everyone's burning out because we're all connected all the time. And how do we turn the wheel off, right? So I love that idea.
Such a good answer. Again, is there anyone not in the business world or not related to business that you'd be interested to speak to and take their learnings from whatever the industry they've been in?
Yeah. Like I talk about sports a lot because it was a huge part of my life.
Came to mind.
Mm-hmm. And I think having like a world renowned, gold medalist or world champion or, I mean, whoever dream guest is like bring Tiger Woods on here or, or like, somebody from their Michael Jordan, you know what I mean? Like the Michael Jordan of their sport, and just say it all translates, right? Like preparation, opportunity, training, the work that you don't see. Like I'm thinking of a court, or I'm thinking of a field, or I'm thinking of wherever you're going to do whatever it is. Behind the scenes, there's all of this preparation and work, right? And it's kind of like, think about it, you translate it to business. Right now, for the first time tomorrow, someone's going to see Lemon Squeezy and go, oh, wow, this is actually pretty amazing. But they didn't see the last 4 years of work to get it here. And then also the last 10 years of like pain and suffering of like selling digital products online, to get to this product, right? And so it's like, there's the 10 years of overnight. And I just think that there's a lot of translation with anybody at that level, that could come in. And I think they could give us all valuable advice.
You're so right. So psychologist and sports person would be interesting. And then the other question he asked me, I did just Google this, so I actually knew what the hell he was on about. Oilers or Panthers?
So he's talking about the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, which is hockey. I actually wonder what Curtis is doing, because he's from Canada and he's a Vancouver fan. So he's probably doing Team Canada, which is Edmonton.
Yeah.
I love Edmonton because I love Connor McDavid. He's kind of like the new Wayne Gretzky of hockey. He's amazing and super fun to watch. What I picked in a bracket that I picked the Panthers. So,
well, there you go. So anyone that follows NHL, there's your answer. Are you going to be watching the Euros? Oh, no, wait. Sorry. Do you care about soccer over there? The European competition that we're all going to be drinking lots of beer to and...
Well, I bet you there is literally 0 people that are going to watch the NHL playoffs or even watched it. So I can give you the answer there. The soccer, football, G talked about this the other day on like an engineering stand-up. And this is my problem. I just need to go on a rant about football, soccer. And I have lots of friends here that like love it. They play it. They're a fan. They love Liverpool and Arsenal. And like, I'm like, okay, I know the teams. But it's like right now, like what is it even called? This isn't the World Cup. What is this called?
This is the European Championships, the Euros for short.
Yeah, but then here's my problem. It reduces like And like, I guess I'm not just trying to say like our sport's the best. I'm just saying like in the NHL, right? Like they're competing for the Stanley Cup. There's only one team that gets to do it, and there's only one event that happens in a year to win this one thing, and you work the whole season for this one thing. And it's so to me, it puts more emphasis on this thing as opposed to like there's there's this cup and that cup and the Liga and
This is outrageous as a take. There are other countries in the world, JR, where that we compete against each other, like other countries. So we also have those leagues and the cups. I suppose. Let me rewind. I think you're kind of right in that sense. We do have a lot of cups, but this Euros is very different to like the club thing. So your Liverpools and United will be going for the Premier League and the Champions League. The other like domestic cups don't matter quite as much, but like Champions League, huge, and Premier League, huge.
Yeah.
But this European tournament, the World Cup, is
those are big. No, and I know I'm sounding. I was trying to give like a hot take to see how many people I could rile up was really the goal, but I probably did.
I felt riled up, but then you were kind of right on there being a big thing. But because it's the nation coming together, whereas we're all so against each other in these club tournaments, but everyone comes together. And also, it's one of the times where England and Scotland are separate, and Scotland are going to basically not be there very long. They're going to lose lots of games, and England are probably going to win the whole thing. So...
Well, G was talking about that. He thought Scotland was in England's group, but it looks like...
They won't get anywhere out of their group. They've got Germany on the first game this Friday.
Hungary and Switzerland.
Yeah, no chance. Not a chance.
Yeah. Who's England have? England has Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia. It seems like Scotland should be in that group.
I don't know how it works, but yeah, there's no way Scotland will be getting out of their group, and we will be going on to win the whole thing. Finally, it's about time. We've had a few years of coming very close and being cheated out of a few games, but on this occasion, it is coming home.
I love it. I love that you're so passionate about it.
JR, I want to ask you one last thing. How are you? How are you personally with everything that's been going on over the past year for you? Growing a company, are you? We've spoken about the mental health. You're looking in good shape. Are you going out and playing lots of golf and hockey? And
yeah, it's been rough actually. There's some stuff going on, but I think honestly that's probably why I've been trying to work out a ton, eat good, and try and just control what I can to deal with what's coming at me. It's not business related. The business is still, those problems will always be there, but it ebbs and flows on that. Normally, I think most guys would say, "I'm good," But it's been rough. But I'm gonna get through it, and it'll be all right.
For sure. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing some behind the scenes. It's great to do a CE episode. I've wanted to do this since we did our last one in December, but it's great to chat through everything, mate. Thank you for doing this episode of Make Lemonade with me, JL.
Thank you.